Hi everybody, it's me, Corey T, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to love yourself, because we're talking about self-love in this community and really in the world all the time. But in this video I'm going to give you some examples of things that you can do that are very, very self-loving that maybe you've heard before and maybe you haven't. But this is my interpretation of what self-love means, and for other people it might mean something different. So as always with my videos and with anyone's videos, just take what resonates and leave the rest. So to me, self-love used to be this image that I had in my mind of me walking around thinking, I just love who I am, I'm everything, I know I'm all that, I know people love me. And actually that wasn't really what self-love came to mean to me later, because actually I couldn't sustain all the time feeling good. I couldn't sustain always thinking that I'm great. And if anything, it kind of fed my ego, which kept me trapped in a cycle of self-shaming, right? So I learned a new way to love myself, many new ways to love myself. And one of the main things, and I did a post on this on my community tab earlier, was to be able to validate the way that I feel and not try and fix it or change it. So, you know, when we're talking about healing, we often think that there's something wrong with us that needs to be changed, especially when it comes to feelings. But actually, healing is the result of being able to be the loving, compassionate observer and companion to yourself whenever you're feeling something that feels uncomfortable. But often we're thinking, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel like this? I just want to get rid of it. I just want to get rid of this feeling. But that feeling, more than likely, is your younger self, a very important, valid part of you. And really, self-love comes down to being able to love all parts of ourselves. And that includes the hurting parts of us, the scared parts of us, the over-analytical parts of us, all those parts of us that actually have a valid and important role to play in our life. They want to be understood and loved and held just as much as every other part of you does. So I started feeling a lot more love and wholeness for myself when I started to be able to hold space for uncomfortable emotions as much as other emotions too. So whenever I would feel something, whenever I feel like maybe anxiety or stress or confusion, rather than thinking, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling like this? Maybe not trying so much to work it out as a way of fixing it or getting rid of it, because I spent most of my life thinking that there was something wrong with me. And especially when you're in the manifestation community and then you go into healing and you go into really wanting to understand yourself, often people go into therapy and think, I'm broken in some way and I need fixing. But actually every single thing that you ever feel is right. It makes sense given what you've been through in your life. You know, unconsciously you created a lot of feeling coping mechanisms that make sense given what you've been through. So actually those parts of you that are running on autopilot, they just want to be understood. So one really amazing self-loving thing that you can start to do today is to validate your emotions. You can say things to yourself like, it makes sense. And maybe you don't know why it actually makes sense, but just the fact that it does make sense given what you've been through. Maybe you can't, put all the pieces of the puzzle together consciously right now, but the fact is that what you're feeling makes sense and it's okay. So you can validate yourself by saying, I know that given what I've been through in my life, this feeling makes sense and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm here for me. And you hold the space while this emotion does what it needs to do, knowing that it will pass, rather than thinking, oh no, what's wrong with me now? Why am I feeling like this? Oh my God, I've got to get rid of it. I need to go to therapy. I need to go and fix it. I need to get someone to save me, help me. I need to look outside of me for validation to get it to go away. All of these things are basically saying to yourself in your unconscious mind, there's something wrong with me and I'm bad and I'm broken and I need to fix it. And that's not very compassionate or self-loving. So instead, it makes sense that I feel like this. And then sitting with that while you're brave enough to hold the space for that emotion. Okay, so that's one really self-loving thing. The other thing that I think is really important is, being able to start to become aware of what you need and being able to set boundaries and say no, for example. Basically being the biggest cheerleader, your biggest fan, and your biggest supporter when it comes to your emotional needs, your physical needs, your everything needs, so that you can show up for yourself. And, if you want to rest, you let yourself rest. If you want to go and play and have fun, you go and let yourself do that. If you want to eat the cake, you let yourself eat the cake. Another thing that is incredibly self-loving is discipline. So if you've got a goal, whether that's a business goal, a financial goal, an emotional goal, a relationship goal, or any other goal that you have in your life, it takes discipline in order to continuously and regularly do the actions and take the actions that you need to take in order for you to reach that goal. So in fact, having goals that are meaningful to you in the first place and setting those intentions is a really, really self-loving thing to do. But then actually implementing the things that you need to implement in order to make that happen for yourself, and being the one that's going to say, I know that maybe you don't feel like doing this today, but we're going to do it because I know that you're going to feel better after this. And actually being the responsible adult within to bring you closer to the things that you really, really want in your life. Let's say, for example, it's a fitness goal and you've been going to the gym regularly, and then one day your body is just fully saying no. And you really have to honour that. If your body is saying no, then you're actually benefiting the overall goal to listen to your body and to rest when your body is telling you to rest. Knowing that the next day or the day after that, you're going to get right back on it and you're going to start taking the action. But it's about finding the balance and being responsible for your goals. And that's an incredibly self-loving thing to do as well. Imagine that you today could go to a place where your younger child is. And maybe it's your younger self's bedroom or the house that you grew up in or whatever. And you're there as this loving adult who's like, hey, I'm with you and I'm going to do whatever you want to do. And I'm going to look after you and I'm going to protect you. And I'm going to have fun with you, right? So who would this amazing, supportive person be? And how would they navigate the world with this younger you, right? What would that look like if you had someone there who just absolutely validated your wants, your desires, your feelings, your needs? What would that look like? Because you can cultivate that sense of self within you in order to love every desire, feeling, need that you have, so that you can be your absolute biggest fan. Now, what we usually do is we try and outsource this sense of safety, control, and approval from outside of us. And that often happens in relationships or with our parents or at work or whatever. And we're trying to outsource it so that we can feel safe within ourselves. But really, being able to be very, very self-loving and have this feeling of wholeness means that you cultivate this inner adult within you that is so there for you and so like, yeah, I'm on your team, I'm on your side, and I'm going to support you no matter what it is. So you've got your biggest cheerleader that you can trust. And this builds over time a really strong sense of self-trust and self-love, which is then obviously then reflected in your relationships, because this is then how you start to feel about yourself. Self-love to me is also things like doing things that I love, right? So playing, going out in nature, giving myself the things that I really, really enjoy doing, giving myself rest, giving myself nourishing food, respecting my body, respecting my physiological needs, and listening to my nervous system. So if I want to rest, I'm going to rest. If I want to run, I'm going to run. Even little things like sitting down for too long and you start feeling like you're aching, and actually just standing up and honouring the physical sensations in your body so that your nervous system feels like, okay, yeah, someone's looking after us. Someone's looking after me on the inside and on the outside. Self-love to me is definitely not just saying positive affirmations about myself and trying to get into a state of I'm everything, I'm all that. It's a deep inner feeling of comfort and stability and a self-assurance that is cultivated over time. Okay, it's a practice that gets stronger and stronger and stronger. It's the inner loving voice and adult within that is actually there for you and all your needs, will protect you, will set boundaries when it is necessary. Especially when it comes to boundaries, that is one of the most self-loving things that you can do. If someone is not respecting you or your desires, you, being the self-loving, compassionate person that you can be, are able to speak up for yourself and say no when something doesn't feel right to you, listening to those feelings within that say, this isn't right, and then speaking up about it. Those things are really, really self-loving. Investing in yourself, doing things that help you learn and grow and become the person that you would like to embody being, the person that you actually are. Education is regulation, right? So when you invest in yourself in a way that is meaningful, you do something for your mind, your body, or your soul, you will be rewarded with that. You'll feel a lightness and a sense of love within yourself because you're doing something for you. Self-love when it comes to money is valuing money. So spending money on the things that you love and then finding ways to cut back on the things that you don't love spending money on so much. So it's about finding a balance of honouring and respecting money and using it in a way that can make your life more vibrant and more colourful and more you. I think self-love overall is really getting to know yourself. And like I said before, just literally being the person that's going to absolutely honour and respect and love all of your desires, your wants and your needs, and find ways to accommodate to them so that you feel like you're safe and you're held. And this takes time and it takes practice, especially if you have any trauma responses that make it difficult for you to say no and difficult for you to even know what your needs are. Sometimes there's a journey to becoming aware of what your needs actually are in the first place. And that can take time and practice and mentorship and coaching maybe as well to be able to discover what those things are. Some self-loving things that I do every day. I always move my body. I always find a way to listen to my body. And if it wants to move, then I move it. I go for a walk every day and a run as well, even if it's just a very, very short one. I go for some kind of physical movement that is me showing my body, I respect you, I love you, and we're going to do something today to show you that I'm so grateful that you can move. I set boundaries with people. If I feel like someone is disrespecting my time or my energy, then I'm able now to say no. I didn't used to be able to, but setting boundaries has been one of the most self-loving things that I've ever learned to do. I love being in nature. Nature literally gives my soul life. I love walking around the trees. I love a beautiful view. I love the horizon. I love the water. I love being in nature. I listen to my body. If I want to eat, I'll find something to eat. I try to eat as healthily as I can. And when my body needs nourishment, I make sure that I give it that nourishment. If I need support, I reach out for support. I invest in myself. I love learning. I love discovering more about myself, about the human condition, about psychology, about spirituality. I invest in my hobbies, my passions, and my interests. I do things that are creative and playful. I have a pretty rounded life, and it hasn't always been like this. I mean, even last year, I fell off the wagon of self-love. I completely had abandoned many parts of myself, and I really had to work out, okay, I am not feeling good and I don't know why, and I have to figure out what I need to do to love myself better, to be the one that's going to be the source of my happiness and my stability again. And part of that journey meant giving myself space and time, actually having a lot of space on my own and giving myself space to process my emotions, feel my emotions, has been one of the most important things in my journey. If I've ever been through like an emotional wound or an emotional bruise that I can still feel in my body, I give myself time. I give myself enough time to heal from that. And sometimes that's an unpredictable amount of time, but I give myself the time to honour what I'm feeling, and I don't rush myself like I used to. And I talk to myself in a loving, compassionate way. And when I don't know how to do that, when I don't have the capacity to do that, I'll reach out to someone who will remind me of how to do that. And sometimes I catch myself in my old habits, my old ways of seeking validation, approval, control, safety, all these things. And I catch myself doing that, and then I forgive myself. So self-forgiveness is a really important part of this too. I think I used to beat myself up all the time. I used to say things like, I can't do it. What's wrong with me? I really need to fix this about myself, and all these things that really made me feel like there's something not right about me. And that was my general state and belief about myself, which wasn't very compassionate or self-loving. And I learned to be able to see that, soothe that, and heal that over time. The really cool thing about learning to love yourself, to really love yourself, is that when you hold that standard within yourself of how to love yourself, and you lead the way by embodying how to love yourself, you're literally showing other people what to do. You're giving them the manual of how to love you, right? And when you have that strong sense of protection within yourself, that you know how to look after yourself, and you know what to expect, and you know what to do to support yourself, then you are much better able to set boundaries and to spot when something is off rather than needing it from someone else. And when you can do this and you cultivate that self-assurance within yourself, it's so much easier to speak up and to respect yourself, especially in relationships. And then guess what? That's mirrored back to you, and that's how you transform relationships. And it's a journey, and it's a practice, and it's a process, and it does take time and trial and error. And some days you'll feel like you've really got it, and then other days you'll feel like you haven't, and it's okay. All of that is just part of the journey, and actually an essential part of the journey to go backwards sometimes, you know, so that you can see the contrast. And it's just a learning process. We don't learn without mistakes, but really there is no mistakes in this. It's just part of the journey. So if there's anything that I've missed, or there's anything that you do that you love that helps you to feel really self-loving, then I'd love to know what it is. You can write it in the comments below. If you would like some one-to-one coaching, I'm still doing that at the moment for the next few months. And I'm also really excited about my Conscious Creators Masters Academy. It used to be called Manifestation Masters Academy, but I changed the name slightly. There's still a few spaces left. If you would like to find out more about that and book a one-to-one call with me for free so that we can talk about you, where you're at, if the program's right for you, then let me know. You can send me an email or a direct message and I can give you some more information about that, or you can find it on my website in the link below, and I'll see you in the next video.